So maybe in very few words, if you can describe yourself and your organization so everybody will know you in the room.
Oh, it's organized. We have, like Xavier explained, with the inside sales team, so we have a sales development, SDRs, okay, on one side doing prospecting, inbound, outbound, qualifying, spending 1 hour with leads to qualify and create intro calls to the account executive team. We do have 2 SDRs for one AE team, account executive. We do automate. We do sell software to automate prospecting. So we do eat our own food, and obviously we use our own product. But we do have separate teams, and it's an interesting question to maybe some of you do wonder whether to separate your team between prospecting and closing. So we can probably address this issue later.
Pierre-Olivier?
So we are Zuora, a platform, a subscription platform, so used by many of the SaaS provider in the US, but also in Europe. We are providing a platform for Citrix, for example, Zendesk, or ABA testing, or ZenChef, just before. So we are the back office of subscription, and in terms of organization, we are a copycat of Salesforce, because we are, in a way, a subset of Salesforce, because our founder was the CMO and strategist for Mark Benioff for 7 years, and so we've got the usual pre-sale SR organization to outbound and make some outbound contacts from London. In Salesforce, it's from Dublin. So Xavier was harassed. He said he was harassed by Salesforce and to resell their CRM. So we've got those guys, and we've got local AEs, so account executive, running their local business and split it in different segments.
And how many people?
So 4 SR or ZBRs, Z like Zuora, ZBRs based in London, and 4 AEs split it in different segments. One for startups and VCs, 2 for SMB, and 1 for large account.
Okay. And just before you said, how many people do you have?
We have 12 SDRs for 6 account executives.
Okay. And so now, Jeremy.
So I'm Jeremy from Algolia, and so we are a search engine as a service. We enable websites and mobile applications to integrate unique search experiences within their website or mobile applications. So in total, we are close to 50 people. Out of this, we have a sales team that is 11 people actually. So there's the VP of business development. Today we do mainly inbound, and so out of the 10 remaining people, we have 8 people focusing on inbound and 2 on outbound. Out of the 8 people focusing on inbound, everyone has a closing role. There are 4 more senior people. So there are actually 2 senior account executives handling only the large accounts. There are 2 account executives handling enterprise accounts, but a bit smaller than the large ones. And we have 4 SDRs. So they do everything related to qualification, but they also do some closing. And we see this position also as a training role to after become an account executive. So we wanted to make sure that as soon as you join Algolia, even if you have no working experience at all, you start getting some experience closing, even if it's on really small accounts.
Okay, great. And Mathieu, you are a VC, so you don't have a sales team, but you are working alongside other companies, so maybe you can describe your portfolio and the company you're working with.
Sure. Hi, everybody. So we are a venture firm. We've been investing for 17 years in startups, and we have quite a strong portfolio of software and SaaS companies. We invest in SaaS companies all over Europe, and some of them also in the US, and we've very often helped them scale from few salespeople up to their talent. For instance, a big data company, it's 500 people and a sales team of hundreds of people.
Okay, great. So maybe now to be more practical, you told us about your organization. The topic is how to build a sales machine. So we'll try to find an answer, Polly. And I think one of the answer could be around the team. Well, you describe the organization, but it's how to have an A team of sales. Maybe can you explain how do you recruit people, salespeople, and especially VP sales? I mean, well, it sounds like a key position in the company.
Well, we still do not have a VP of sales. So
is someone looking for
so you can probably imagine, even with 18 sales reps, we don't have a VP of sales. We have team leaders. We have team leaders for the French SDRs. We have team leaders for the UK SDRs. We have team leaders for AEs and so on and so on. But still, and we do, the founders, we still do the chief revenue officers. So to be sure that we absolutely align between the marketing messages, campaign nurturing, and so on, we do the inbound, outbound prospectors that do qualify, and the account executive, plus the CSM, of course, because of the churn and upsell and so on and so on. But still, we don't have a VP of sales. We tried, of course, at first, we tried to hire a VP of sales, and it was failures. And then I read some blogs saying, yeah, it's a failure. The first VPs of sales, it's a
why
failure.
was it a failure?
It's a failure, first, because it's very difficult, depending whether you're doing $500,000 annual revenue or to 2 million. So it's a different type of mindset, different skills you're expecting.
Do you mean that you don't have to have a VP sales if you don't do, for example, I don't know, maybe 2 million ARR?
Yeah,
it's
now
early?
we do more than 2 million, but still we don't, and it works. It works, actually. So that's why we're wondering, do we still just keep the CRO, chief revenue officers, that do coordinate everything with very strong team leaders, or do we need someone just to manage sales? So, but still it works. So we don't want to change it right now. So about hiring, I think that what is really important is when you don't have a VP of sales, and as a founder you do act as a CRO, you are really involved in all the little details about what is the buyer persona you're tracking, and how you create the journey from your marketing message to what you're talking over the phone, and then how you close people and how you onboard them with TSM and so on, what Aza explained.
I've got one, and don't try to hire mine, please. So yes, I've got a VP of sales, and it's quite difficult to find someone with in the software area who's got a mindset for SaaS in terms of sales management, because all of the senior sales VP are coming generally from on-premise software company, and it's a very special mindset. So you try. The only way is to find SaaS companies like Salesforce and try to hire those guys, but they are very well paid, so it's quite difficult, and they've got a lot of stocks, so it's quite difficult to hire them. So, but yes, you need one also when, for example, Philippe, my VP of sales, is also in charge not only for France but also for Western Europe, with a small team, with one guy in Italy and 2 people in Benelux. And he had to report directly to the US. So it's a role of coaching and measuring the success of the team, but also to report to the management and to create a sales strategy for each country, because when you develop a new country, you need really to be sure and to make your SWOT analysis on what you should do in this country in terms of sales organization. And maybe, for example, for us in Spain, there is no one, but it's remotely managed by our local French sales rep.
Every area is managed differently?
We are in the way to expand our footprint everywhere over the world. So generally, we've got one head office, for example, in Munich, in Paris, and in London, with remote countries where you've got generally only one sales and a pre-sales guy to make the presentation, and to find also the right ecosystem and partnership locally. So because it's completely different in each country, you've got, for large accounts, you need very large integrators like Deloitte, Accenture, or Capgemini, but you need also small boutiques for to deploy the solution for startups like you in the room. Sure. So we need also small partners. So each time it's different. So to automate the process, it's quite difficult.
What about you?
So we don't have neither a VP of sales, a bit like you. We have a VP of business development that is actually acting as a VP of sales. He was basically the second hire in the team and started from the beginning wearing a lot of different hats, from handling sales to marketing to people operation, like a little bit everything. We found it pretty challenging so far we've interviewed a lot of VP of sales, but we haven't found the right one. It was pretty difficult to given our stage, so we are still pretty small to attract top A players, especially in the Bay Area. You were mentioning that it's really expensive. That's true. That's also really expensive.
Do you have a global organization?
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we have two offices.
I mean 2 offices, but you're managing your sales team in France and in the US the same way.
There's one sales team that is spread out across 2 offices. We don't really make a distinction. People from France travel a lot to the US. People from the US travel a lot to France. Like, it's one single team. There is no local management. And it was pretty difficult to attract someone that has already done the job as a VP of sales, of scaling company from a couple of millions to a couple of tens of millions in ARR. It was difficult to get someone that has the technical understanding of a product, because we're like selling something that is pretty technical, that is targeted to a really technical audience as well. So we needed someone that has already done the job, but is already that is also a builder. We found it difficult. So for the moment, what we're doing is the sales team itself, that is mostly made of builders. A lot of people in our sales team do not have a sales background. They build the engine, and eventually, when we reach all the processes are in place and everything is a little bit more structured from a sales perspective, it might become easier to attract a top A player as a VP of sales that will just be able to push the engine and bring us far. Yeah.
Thank you. And do you have advice for, Mathieu, concerning the hiring process, the hiring of salespeople or VPs in your companies?
Well, I mean, hiring is definitely the biggest challenge. I mean, in building a sales team, it's hiring and how you incentivize your sales team as well. This is also very, very important. No, I mean, everything has been said. I mean, I can say what we're doing at Talent, which is also where we're scaling quite quickly. We're using a methodology called top grading from a book from, I don't remember, Greg Alexander, I guess. And it's a 4-step process. So the first process, the candidate meets with the sales guy that will assess his skills. Then he meets with a sales manager who will assess his performance, past performance mainly, and his background. Then he will go through a case study with four sales guys, and then he will meet the VP of sales. And that proved to be pretty efficient.
So you told us it was about 100 people in the sales team of Talent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like what you said. I mean, sometimes when you are very early stage in your process, your salespeople are not always sales profile, and you can identify maybe people within the team who could maybe start to be sales guys, and then you make them progress, you train them, and in few months or 2 years, they can ramp up pretty quickly to become a senior guys. And we have that at Synthesio. Synthesio is a SaaS company in social listening and e-reputation, and the best sales ever has been a community manager initially. And just so remember that when you hire sales, it's not only about junior or senior sales, it's about BDR as well, and it's about, sales engineers. Sales engineers, if your product is pretty technical, they are very important as well.
Great. You just mentioned all the incentive that is another key for building a sales machine. Can you tell us what works, what doesn't work?
Incentivization is how you drive your sales team and the performance, and so first should be incentivized accordingly with the goal of the company. It sounds obvious, but it's not always the case. And you can drive them exactly as you want. For instance, at Talent, we were at a TCV model. We were selling term license, in average 2.7 years, and we wanted to go to an ACV model with annual licenses. And so we changed the incentive of the sales team, and in few quarters, I would say 2 or 3 quarters, we moved from 2.7 years term license to 1.2, 1.3 annual contract value license. So that was very, very efficient. You have to maintain as well, you need to be very generous, if you want to attract A players and show them that can make a lot of money. And maybe, if you have a good guy, just pay him accordingly. That's also an advice. We were not that generous in some companies, and we lost very, very good people. And in that case, I mean, it's dramatic. At Syntheso, what we're doing as well, they are incentivized on a quarterly basis. So each quarter, if they meet their quota, they get another percentage of bonus, you know, and they get another percentage each year they hit their quota. And if they fail one quarter, they lost everything and they go back from zero, you know. So that keeps a lot of pressure. No, but that works. It's very efficient. I mean, your offering is very efficient. And what you can do, that was the case, I guess, at Business Object, it's the case at Talent. You have the President Club. So for the people who meet their quota in the year, they all, I mean, are part of President Club. It's quite, I mean, very visible in the company, and they go for a week, travel somewhere, and that works also pretty efficiently. I have many other tricks that we've put in place, but we're running out of time.
Yeah. We'll come back later on this.
What I could say is also it's really the comp plan is really a key issue, for sure, as you said. There is a big example on the market, software market. It's this company who's got a red logo in software industry. They will only next year stop every commission plan on-premise software and to only commission for the SaaS product. So, and that's why they are 10 years later on the SaaS market. Because when you are a sales rep, you will hire sales rep because they want to make some money. You hire them for that. And if they can make a one-shot for 3 years on an on-prem software and make 1, 2, or 3 million revenue shot, they will do it even they are less come on it. And to switch their mindset in SaaS way, and to be sure that the customer will renew with a more relationship and customer experience, it's quite impossible. So it's really another, yes.
Interesting.
In our case, so you were mentioning being generous with your sales rep is very important. I definitely agree, and we try to be extremely generous. And the question now is, how do you limit the risk and while being at the same time really generous? So we took kind of a radical approach. We start seeing this in a couple of startups, especially in the US. Basically, our sales rep, they get a commission on each deal they close on a monthly basis, and that's it. There is no base salary, there is nothing. They get a cut on the deal. And we actually try to be quite generous. So usually it's around 10% of the ACV that they close that they get on a given month. Now, in case on a given month, like, I don't know, the pipeline is pretty dry and they were not able to do their quota, we will just guarantee a minimum that is really low, but just to make sure that, I don't know, they're able to at least get a small part of their money. But yeah, and these commissions get paid on a monthly basis.
And Nicolas, how do you manage that?
On the incentives?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, they're well paid. I mean, the first salary, of course, is a sales rep. That's the basis in all the companies I've built. But it's not just this. Like when we say sales rep do look only for money, most of them, they just look for recognitions. And money is a way of getting recognition. So there are other ways as well to give them what they look for.
And what a part of fixed income and variable income, for example, for all of you?
For us, most of the time, for an account executive who does the closing, is 60% variable, okay, and 40% fixed.
Okay.
For prospectors, for sales development reps, we are around 60% fixed and 40% variable, something like this, on quota.
Is it the same for you?
Yes, roughly, and also to set a really good acceleration plan when you surpass your OTE, because it's where you need the sales rep to be continue to be more active and continue his work.
Another question only for you, Mathieu. Sorry for the others. It's about investment. I just want to know, as a fund, are you looking for companies that already have done all this work to build a sales machine, or do you consider it's part of your job to work with them to build this sales machine?
Well, it depends at which stage we invest. But definitely, it's part of our due diligence process, definitely, to look really closely at how they address the sales engine. What I've seen, I mean, over the past 3 years, is that, I mean, people like Jeremy and others are very mature now on how to build that type of sales machine, but 3 years ago that was not the case at all. So we definitely look at, I mean, how aware, how much they know about, I mean, how to build a sales machine. If the machine is not built yet, I mean, it's not that a big issue. I think we can bring some value here because we have done that before in some of our companies, and what we like is just have our VP sales or CEOs meeting regularly and on the given topics, and I know they like to exchange on that topic. We have 4 companies that have scaled up in the US, and others in different parts of Europe, so that helps. So it's not definitely a criteria, but it's for sure, I mean, how the team knows about how that works is very important.
Okay, great. And just to conclude, maybe can you give us, well, each of you, a very practical insight on how to build a sales machine? Well, do you have something to give to the audience, something that you learned that works in your company or that didn't work, and that just feel free to.
I could try to summarize, saying that what we're looking for is predictability of the pipeline, so knowing exactly how much we're going to sign next quarter, or because for all the investment and so on, it's so critical, more than just growth and trophies and so on. Thereafter, for me, it's really a part of people, so having good people, hiring good people, doing more calls and so on, training. Process, having a playbook. We haven't talked about this, but when you build a machine, you need to build, I mean, go from your buyer persona and try to build your playbook exactly how it works, how the lead is handled, how is recycled, etc., etc. And then you can put the technology to automate stuff and to scale. But this works a lot. The efficiency with a process, with a playbook, it's fantastic. And when you put technology on this and it works, and so you have the predictability and you have the growth, what doesn't work is, for us, is looking after the big deals because you have no predictability. So we started like this, and when Xavier just after talked about the inside sales and going from face-to-face to telephone, trying to sell over the phone, we did this at first. We signed a 400K annual contract with a big company. It was just over the phone, and we tried, and we were so scared, like it represented, at first, it represented more than 60% of our business, and we said, oh, can we see you, can we go see you in Dublin, and so on, because we want to secure that physically, and they say, oh no, please. Yeah, so there's these things that haven't worked for us, is going after the big deals too early.
Yes, as just said, that you need to really check your sales process and sales funnel, and to check where you are from the stage 0 to stage 10, and to know exactly where you are in terms of predictability for your sales management, but also for your investor, because you will, for example, for our platform, our investor got the direct look inside our sales organization, so they can check where we are, and if we said some bullshit things during the meeting we've got with them. And also to check where you are in terms with your SWOT analysis, with the different markets you can address, because sometimes you've got a very specific market and you work on it, but on my side, for example, I've got three different markets, so I need to know exactly where I am for startups, for mid-market and large account, where, as you said, on large account, it's when you make a big deal, you need to replicate for the next fiscal year this big deal, because it will be in the numbers of the company. So you need to automate big deals, and it's completely different in terms of sales process. So it's yes, there is a lot of segmentation to run.
Interesting. Just before you, Mathieu, do you have a view on the sales pipeline of your companies?
If I have a view?
But, well, Pierre-Olivier told us that
sure.
your investors can see
that's
directly
the only thing
pipeline.
we're looking at in the reporting.
Okay.
So cash, of course.
So I think the things are really important, like the training of the people that just join, especially if they are pretty young, both on the product but also on the sales skills. For us, it was really important and it proved to work to have young people starting to close from day one, even if it's really small accounts. so that they start getting this exposure and more comfortable in the role of sales. And whenever they get to an account exec position, they are already kind of trained. On the product as well, so making sure that the sales team spends a lot of time close to the tech team. For us, it's pretty challenging. We have 2 offices and we don't have any developers in the US so far, so we're heavily trying to hire some there to make sure that even like the sales team, marketing team in the US are close to development. As a short-term fix, we fly people like from the sales team in the US a lot to France so that they get this training. And another thing that we found really important is like really looking into the data. At the end, you're willing to build an engine. What you want is understand like what works, what doesn't work, and where you can put some resources, put some money, and be confident in the fact that you will get like an ROI on this. And I think it goes to with like the predictability, being able to know where to push. And so that goes with having a very clean like CRM or something like that is, and having someone in charge of like closely looking at all those metrics to make sure that you know like which markets convert the better, which type of like a vertical convert the better, which kind of product convert the better, the sales cycle, all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Also, thank you so much for all your insights.
Just a few words, so just to conclude on that.
Yeah, sure.
When you're building a sales machine, it's about people, we mentioned, processes, and tools. We haven't talked about tools, but you have to put in place good tools, you know, internally. Processes, this is the playbook, which is absolutely key. When you start, just start by segmenting your sales force very early on. Don't try to have everybody trying to do everything. And think bottom up. You start with junior sales, addressing SMBs, small players, small companies, and then you hire senior sales. It's another type of sales. It's another incentive scheme. They go after big accounts, and then you scale up geographically with channels, VAR, SIs. So just have this bottom up approach and segment your sales team very early on.
Wow. Thank you for summing up. So thank you so much, and well, see you later.
Thanks.